Back to our learning conference series. You're listening to episode 3, and today we are focusing on something that doesn't always get enough airtime. That is, how to build momentum before your event begins. Because here's the reality, even the most well planned internal events can go unnoticed if the excitement doesn't start early for the employees. A calendar invite alone doesn't inspire participation. So, how do you make your conference feel like something people are genuinely looking forward to? And instead of just another event to attend, which is just there on their calendars. So, to help us explore this and dig deeper, I am joined back by our expert Ashwini. So, welcome back, Ashwini, to another episode of the series.
Thanks, Prachi. Looking forward to this session. I think in our first session, we discussed what's a learning conference and why organizations, especially enterprises, need to start thinking about organizing a learning conference. I think in episode 2, we actually dive deeper into planning a learning conference and what are the goals, how should they think about it. I think this is a right segue into now thinking about, okay, you've thought about your conference, you set it up. Now, how do you start creating the buzz around it, or how do you start planning your pre-event activities? So yeah, Prachi, love to dive deep into this with you.
So, Ashwini, building buzz is really about sparking curiosity and signaling that this matters for the employees. So, let's just zoom in on that. From leadership point of view, you want employees to show up with intention and not just out of obligation. So, let's just start with the foundations here, which is positioning. So, how do you help them see the value of the event early, especially when they are balancing a dozen other priorities together?
Great point, Prachi. And this is the first, and this will be the make or break for any learning conference. Because, like you said, employees have their full time jobs as well. And of course, learning is part of them doing it well and growing in their career, but it's not something which they have set up their time for. So, to be able to generate really interest, the positioning has to factor in on or base yourself on what is in it for the employees. Okay. So don't focus on, I would say, don't focus on sessions, timings, or speakers. Rather, flip the script to include what employees want and what is it the benefit for them. So, for example, is it a career growth? Is it leadership AMA? Or is it something that they can get answers for what they've been asking for? Or they can get direction on where the company is going? Or maybe an exciting product launch or what's in the works in different departments of the company. So first of all, position the whole conference, position your sessions, position everything that you're doing from an employee's standpoint, from your team member standpoint, that okay, what benefit they get out of it, right? And that's will give you a good guiding post into creating right buzz for your event. It'll also help you set up the right engagement activities, which we will talk about in some time, for your event. So all the language, all the event setting, all the communications has to be employee first, or has to be positioned from an employee point of view. What are the frameworks that they will learn? What are the things that they will get to know? What is it that leadership wants to talk to them about? It's everything about the people who are going to attend, right? And yeah, this is exactly what we've seen in our clients as well. So for example, Maximus, a massively publicly listed company, they run different types of learning conferences, and one of their conferences is solely focused on networking. And that's where employees are encouraged to come and know about what other employees and different team members are doing in different teams. So it's a great way to get the employees to know their colleagues, and being virtual, it sometimes becomes very difficult. So that's just an example of how companies position their learning conference.
Definitely, Ashwini. And the employee first thing that you said, that's such a powerful shift from here's what we are doing to here's what you will gain as a participant. That kind of framing feels very powerful in larger or hybrid organizations where connections and clarity don't always come easy.
True.
So now let's just move ahead and talk about sustaining that excitement. Once you have nailed the why, how do you keep curiosity alive in the days or weeks leading up to the event?
Again, Prachi, again, so critical piece in any conference that you're hosting. So now you've set up the agenda, now you have everything set up, but event is 4 weeks away. How do you continue employees to feel excited about it? How do you continue creating great buzz within the employees, team members? So first, there are a couple of ideas that we've seen happen across the clients that we worked with. First of all, one of the great things is what we call as teasers. You can have different types of teasers set up before the event goes live. For example, you can have short videos of speakers. Could be a 30-second video. Hey, I'm going to be here in this event talking to everyone about this topic. And you could have a frequency of releasing a teaser every week, every 3 days. Just keep creating the buzz. Okay, who are going to be speaking? What are they going to be talking about? And when it comes from somebody who's shooting it from their phone, it just sounds very interesting, and people are more intrigued by, okay, this is something which is coming up. Then there can also be something that we've seen happen a lot of times is creating a very short trailer videos and promos. You can have, for example, another great idea that we've seen happen is you can run contest before the event. So these contests could be about sharing the event itself or signing up more people throughout the conference. So it could be around engagement. One of the contests that we've seen run is, for example, person who shares the conference or who gets maximum members of their team signed up, they will win a certain prize internally, and just a friendly competition. So we've seen that kind of formats really bring in the excitement, bring in the buzz. You can have smaller competitions or contests leading up to it. So in another organization, we've seen that they started hosting regular trivia events, which were around the company trivia, company history, company leadership, leading up to the big conference. So you start making a lot more buzz with different activities before the event, leading up to everything around that event. It could be, of course, in the email, it could be polls, videos, social media. You can use your internal communication channel, which could be Slack, Teams. But the whole idea is, don't just organize a conference and then wait for 4 weeks or 2 months for then people to remember it and then come to the conference. Lead it up to that should be your grand finale. So you should have smaller teasers, smaller contests, small events, which you are then finally leading up to your grand finale, which is the big learning conference.
I think, Ashwini, from everything that you shared, I believe it is right to say that shift from information heavy to experience driven or maybe the buzz driven would make a lot of difference in the experience. And even internally, people respond better to content that feels like it was made for them to engage with and not just read and delete and just one
100%.
time emailers.
100%. Yep.
Okay, moving ahead now, let's talk about execution a little bit. What does a strong internal communication plan looks like to support this early buzz creation or buzz driven marketing, especially across different channels?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Prachi, for the success of any conference, communication is the key aspect. And that's how you will create the buzz as well. That's how you will keep everyone informed as well. That's how you will start ensuring that people book their calendars at the right time. So, the rule of thumb here, which I would say, is don't treat it as a one time message or just an FYI message. Ensure that it's treated like a campaign. Ensure that it's treated like a campaign which has a rhythm, which has a cadence to it. So, for example, first of all, channels. So, multi-layer your communications and campaigns. So, for example, it should go through your emails, it should go through your internal communication channels, it should go through messages on social media, everywhere. Ensure that you are layering it with multiple channels that you can reach your employees on. Second is then the frequency and create a plan. So, for example, let's say 4 weeks prior to the event, you start informing and setting up the event or informing teams about that there is an event going to happen. 3 weeks before that, start sharing the teasers or start launching teasers regularly. Then 2 weeks before the event, then you can have speaker reveals or you can have topic reveals that you can talk about, or if there is external speakers that you're getting, or if there is going to be some fun sessions you're going to be having, start doing that. Week one week before the event, then you have start talking about, hey, checklist for people that, hey, these are the takeaways that you can do. Use this conference in this format, or this is what you start getting out from the conference. So again, from like we talked about the first point, everything from employee positioning standpoint, but at the same time, also start creating buzz around it. But keep your communications aligned, have a plan ready. Like, for example, what we've seen organizers do 2 days before the event, they'll start opening the sessions, opening the event for bookmarking and adding sessions to their calendar. So if there are multiple tracks going to happen and employees are free to choose their tracks, then they let people enter the event 2 days before the event and then bookmark which sessions they want to attend or what to expect guides. Of course, 1 day before the event, that's when a message from a CEO comes in that, hey, I'm looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. So things like these, I think things like these enables the buzz building, at the same time ensure that everyone knows there is something big which is happening, which is going to happen end of the month, end of the quarter, or end of the year. But idea is that involve, don't think of this as a one-time communication, rather think of this as a campaign which needs continuous communication, continuous drip campaign running to engage employees with what you're going to be hosting. Of course, at Airmeet, we've done a few things as well to enable that, and that's we've seen a lot of our clients use it. For example, automatic calendar holds. So for example, as soon as the sessions are set up and employees can jump in and bookmark those sessions, all of those are possible on Airmeet. There can be session specific nudges. You can have reminders set up. You can have polls set up before the event starts and let employees just participate in the poll so that they see, okay, what's the experience going to be like when they're here in the event. I think that's a great way to start thinking about it, Prachi. Yeah.
Everything Ashwini you talked about really made a lot of sense, and that week over week sequencing not only builds anticipation but also reduces the cognitive load for the employees. You're making it easy for them to know what's coming and what's in it for them.
100%.
And
Yep.
that leadership welcome message that you talked about, I love that. Even a 30 seconds note from an executive can signal that the event has weight and backing up from the top leadership. So, yeah, let's talk something that adds a layer of fun, which is gamification. Can it really drive meaningful engagement from and before the event?
Oh, 100%. 100%, Prachi. We've seen this happen multiple times. In fact, one of internal our conferences also, we did the same thing. So, like I said, one of the ideas for creating the buzz around the event can be leaderboard or contest. So this is where you get employees engaged. This is where you get some early enthusiasts. So let's say if you have some early registrations or if you have some employees who are showing keen interest in the event, you fuel that. So you create a healthy competition. You make them as your promoters to bring in other employees in their teams or other people. So for example, we've seen contests running where the most employee who gets the most shares of the event wins an iPad, or an employee, for example, who gets most of their team members signed up as soon as possible. There are thresholds, and then they win something. So these are interesting promotions which are there. Or you can create contests around, okay, suggest a great title for this session, or suggest key topics for this session, and the best suggestions will win something. You can have voting enabled beforehand, so that way, and then whoever are participating, there are some goodies awaiting for them. So one is gamify the whole experience, that okay, understand employees motivation and see that they get something out of it. And again, these incentives don't have to be massive. It could be just simple shout outs, it could be small rewards, it could be better access to the content or coffee vouchers. It could be very small things, but just that something new and exciting is happening in the organization and people want to participate in it. And please, of course, always focus on understanding where the momentum is. Is it ensure that it's not near appraisals, or ensure that it's not near a big holiday season? So ensure that you are aligned in a way where your organization feels and enjoys this experience as a friendly competition, sees a momentum building, gets together, and then you see that a healthy competition spirit coming up. So I feel that gamification is a great way to engage, also build a buzz for your event.
And definitely great to build shared energy between the host and the employees who are going to attend the event. Next comes one of my favorite topics, Ashwini, which is employee advocates, turning our employees into our promoters. So let's say someone registers early. How can organizers strategically use that enthusiasm amongst those registrants to help scale the buzz across the company?
Oh, perfect, Prachi. And this is a great segue from we were already talking about early
Yes.
registrations or people who are showing enthusiasm about the event. So I would say bring them into the fold, right? So let's say if the organizing team is about 4 people, 5 people, and if there are another 10 people who have registered early, who have shown keen interest in participating in everything that you're doing, bring them into the fold. Start calling them your crew or your internal squad and leverage them across the board, right? Give them a name, give them early access to content, help bring them in as you're deciding what kind of topic headings or content pieces you're going to be sharing. So bring them into it. And then at the same time, so you're giving them more access. At the same time, you're relying on them to bring in more web members, create the buzz. What it does is it helps the organization see this as a more encompassing event rather than just something which one team is organizing and it's just a duty for everyone else to attend. When you have a promoters, when you have a set of employees who are excited about this event, they create a lot more genuine buzz around your event. So ensure that the buzz is created peer to peer, and promoters do that a lot more. So having great promoters or early champions of your internal event conference will help a lot more. For example, and then you can share their stories itself. You can share why are they excited about attending the event. That when other employees or when other team members see that okay, hey, their team member was interviewed and they are excited about it by showing and being at this event, then they also feel excited about okay, we should also attend as well. So it does create some energy. It does help if you bring in your promoters, if you bring in your early registrations into the fold and start using them as your marketing channels as well. So you've seen this done really well at Airmeet, at Comcast, and some of our other organizations who have worked closely with us on internal events and conferences.
Great call out, and turning attendees into advocates make a huge of a difference for an event. So this was the last segment for today's series, for the today's episode. Ashwini, anything you would like to add before we wrap up this session?
Oh, Prachi, I think now that we've gone from deciding your conference or what is understanding your conference, deciding it, now we are getting into the weeds of it where, okay, what do you need to do? So again, we'd love to hear feedback. We'd love to hear questions because if, of course, we are covering a lot of this, we're squeezing a lot of this information in a very short video, but if there are questions, we can go deep into each of these tactics and what we've seen happening with in the industry, what some of the top players are doing to engage and elevate their employee experiences. So yeah, happy to go deeper into any of these tactics as well as our listeners request.
Love to go ahead and talk deeper around the things people would love to know. Just to wrap this session, one key takeaway from today's episode would be the event doesn't start on day one. It starts the moment the invite hits the inboxes. And if you lead with outcomes, build curiosity with intent, and give employees the reason to care before they even click the join session on the day of the event. You're not just hosting a conference, you're building an internal movement for them. So, next time we are talking about how to design a live day experience would be in the next episode of this series. And we would love to see you there. Thank you so much, Ashwini, for today's session.
Thanks, Prachi.